Hey guys, it's Market Shiftery back again. Today we're going to be talking about some of these new Pokébeach leaks regarding some of the new cards and the Team Rocket set. Now, I have already seen some of these, including some of the moves and art, but it has been a little bit since I've uploaded and showed some of these new cards. I'd say that's mostly just because right now, and I kind of encourage you all to do the same. There's a lot of noise happening in the Pokemon and Pokemon card markets. There's a lot of emotion. A lot of people feel very, they carry a lot of conviction one way or the other with, their opinions or how they feel about certain sets. And just like you'll see on a lot of the financial side of YouTube, the biggest tip I can give to all of you regarding that is to just stay out of the noise. Don't react emotionally, because the other people you're participating with or against in the market, depending on what you're into, they're not going to be this emotionally volatile. They aren't going to be prone to swings. They aren't going to be reading stuff every day. They're simply just going to let their money work for them, and that's sort of just how investing goes, guys. So don't get too deep into any of this. Really just try to ground yourself and make decisions that you feel are setting yourself up for the most financial success. Now, starting off, this is the Annihilate card line. So we have Mankey, kick 30 damage, flip a coin, and it does nothing. I do like the art on that. Primeape, drag off, switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active. Attack does 30 to the new active. So I do like this card effect. It having like a built-in boss's orders as well. But I mean, the attack itself isn't too great. I guess it could be good for pulling up stuff like Lumineon or Pheasantipity and trying to force out some of these bench sitters or like ability spam Pokemon. It could be pretty good for that, especially because it is fighting type too. So another big one would be like Pidgeot. I don't know if Pidgeot has a fighting weakness. I'm assuming it does though. So Annihilate here is definitely probably a decent counter to Pidgeot. Now the ability is definitely really cool on this Annihilate. I really like this Vessel of Rage. If this Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters on it, attacks used by this Pokemon do 120 more damage to your opponent's active. That is a very, very good ability. I love that. They're showing some love to Annihilate here. I think he's definitely a very playable card. And then Impact Blow, deal 160 during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Impact Blow. So that's how the ability gets nerfed in a way a little bit, right? Because it's a every other turn attacker. But there is plenty of switch cards and stuff like that in the game now to facilitate this actually being a pretty decent card. And the art on this is really cool. I know I said I already like the ability, but just the name of it too, Vessel of Rage. I feel like more and more Pokemon has been borrowing from like RPG and like MMO like stuff like that, and I think that is really cool. Now here we have Regirock EX, Regicharge attached up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile. That's fighting energy cards from your discard to this Pokemon. Then Giant Rock 140 plus if your opponent's active Pokemon is a stage 2 Pokemon. This attack does 140 more damage. I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be a decent card, especially because a lot of the best cards right now are those stage evolution Terras. Like what is a really big one? Dragapult. So I think this card was printed in a way to sort of nerf or try to get back at some of these Dragapult or other popular stage 2 decks right now, like Charizard as well. There's really a lot of them. And being able to do 280 is definitely pretty nice, especially because, you could also throw this in a deck with a double colorless as well and get some of the energy charge quicker for that type of card. Now, next up, I do like the art with these, but I don't think any of these are necessarily all that competitive. But you have Shell Press, 10 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 10 less damage. And this is Clamperl, and this is one of the illustration rares we'll get for it as well. I mean, it is the type of Pokemon that probably never gets any love, right? So I guess it is cool that it gets an IR for that reason, sort of. Although I feel like I probably would have liked an IR a whole lot more on Gorbis or Huntail, but that's just me. Huntail, Diver Catch. Whenever one of your Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may put all basic energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand instead of the discard pile. It's okay. 80 damage for 3 energy is not great at all. Gorbis. I think this may be the more interesting one. Shadow Wave, 30x damage. This attack does 30 for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. For doing any damage, you may attach any number of basic energy from your hand. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting card. It's definitely much more competitive probably than Huntail would be. And it having like a built-in rain dance into its attack, it's definitely pretty interesting. But you know, it having 90 HP is definitely not doing it any favors. Now, some of these are the more interesting ones here, especially competitive wise, just because I'm really interested to see how good some of these Team Rocket cards will be in the game. But next up, we have the legendary birds. So we have Team Rocket's Moltres, 220 health. Flame Screen, 110 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 50 less damage. And then Evil Burn, discard a Team Rocket's energy. If you do, discard your opponent's active and all attached cards. This is definitely a very, very, very strong attack. And then up next, we have Team Rocket's Articuno for 120 health. Resistant Veil, prevent all effects of your opponent's Pokemon attacked onto your basic Team Rocket's Pokemon. It's definitely, it's okay. It's not anything too crazy. And then Dark Frost, 60 plus damage to this Pokemon has Team Rocket energy attached. This attack does 60 more damage. Alright, and then Team Rocket Zapdos, Jamming Wing, 30 damage. You may move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench. Bad Thunder, 60 plus. So this Pokemon has Team Rocket energy attached. It does 60 more damage. So, this is okay. You know, it's probably really not going to be played too much. I do really love the artwork though on the Zapdos. The Articuno one's cool too. It definitely reminds me of some of the older cards. And the Moltres is alright. Then we have Team Rocket's Coughing. This Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon. Even if this Pokemon is knocked out, search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon Coughing in their name, put them on your bench. Yeah, not that interesting. Gas Leak, 30 damage. Wheezing, All Out Explosion, 40 damage, 40 times. This attack does 40 damage for each Pokemon to play with Coughing or Wheezing in its name. The Wheezing card is definitely interesting because obviously, you know, it has this synergy with Coughing. But just speaking towards the past, a lot of these types of cards where the gimmick is set up around, you know, your opponent getting a prize card because they killed you, you're more than likely just going to be outrun before something like this is ever all that useful. Especially because, you know, if you think about it, what is this ability actually doing? Well, it's just playing Buddy Buddy Poffin for you. That's a single item card that you can play as many as you want during a turn. There's really no point in having this be tied to the Coughing taking damage or not. It's very mediocre, lackluster in my opinion. But you know, with this attack, you definitely can get some decent damage. It's just that he's 130 HP. That's really the biggest issue with this card. The art on the Coughing is really cool. The Wheezing is definitely pretty cool too. Team Rocket's Zubat. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Pretty cool art on Zubat. Golbat. When you place Pokemon from your hand, evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn. You may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Confuse Ray, 30. Your opponent's active is now confused. The ability Sneaky Bite is definitely pretty interesting. I think it's decent. It's okay. They definitely could have given him a much worse ability. So I do like Golbat got that at the very least. And then the art on this Golbat card is definitely really sick. It's like a, like a Steam engine sort of thing going on in the background. They did a really good job aesthetically with where they placed all the Pokemon inside the cards. And we have Team Rocket's Crobat, 310 HP. Bite About. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during a turn, you may put 2 damage counters. So, pretty sure it's the same as Sneaky Bite. Oh, no, it is better. So I misread that. 2 on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So you get to do 40 spreads. So you get 20-20, and then this was just 20. So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely still an okay ability. Assassin's Return. 120 and you put it in your hand. I do like that the attack synergizes with the rest of the lineup, but I do think it's a bit redundant. And I think if you're going to do an attack like this, I feel like the damage is just really not that great on this attack. I feel like they should have made it like 150. But maybe that would have been too annoying or actually too good. I don't know. Maybe they had a specific reason for the 120, right? That does seem to be the new thing with 2 energy is they put 120 regardless of how good or not the actual attack is. With this having 310 HP, I mean, is it really all that necessary? It needs that type of attack. I don't know. I feel like they could have done more with Crobat, but at the very least, it is an interesting card. Especially because a lot of the item cards do definitely help you get out the Team Rockets cards, so it's not all that bad, I guess. Now next is Team Rocket Sneasel. 20 damage and then backstab. This attack does 20 to one of your bench. For each damage counter already on that Pokemon. So the backstab attack is definitely not too bad at all. Obviously, getting it to be able to even apply its ability, right? But if it does have any damage on any of the bench, I mean, that's definitely a very decent attack, especially for stage 1. And then Team Rocket's Great Ball. Flip a coin if head, search your deck for it. And this is what I meant for the item cards that I was saying, by the way. There's decent ways to get your Team Rocket Pokemon now. Search your deck for an evolution. Yeah. So this is basically Ultra Ball if you get heads. And then if tails, search your deck for a basic. It's an interesting card for sure. And then it's like a nest ball if tails, basically, but it's exclusive to the Team Rockets Pokemon as well, obviously here. So you wouldn't be able to use this card for any other type of cards. Flip a coin if heads, put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If tails, put 2 on your active. This is a really interesting card because we talked about Annihilate previously, and if this Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters on it, you get the ability. So, yeah, running this Venture Bomb card in your own deck, and then having the heads just work for you or the tails equally help you out. I think this is such an awesome card. They really knew what they were doing with this card. This is honestly a great card for them to print. I really like that. Team Rocket's Petrol. Search your deck for a trainer. Feel it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty terrible card. You should most certainly never play something like this. On Team Rocket's Proton, if you go first, yeah, it's not starting off good. You may use this card during your first turn, so you're up to 3, or yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we can just use Buddy Poffin, right? And yeah, I mean, there's just really no reason for these types of supporters. They could have made such better supporters here. But that's not really all that uncommon for the Pokemon Company to print out some pretty stinker supporters. Not that big of a surprise. And then, I mean, the art for all these is definitely pretty good. Yeah, I mean, these all look pretty good. Team Rocket's Larvitar, Mountain Munch, 10, discard the top of your opponent's deck. Kind of interesting attack, I guess. Pupitar, 30 damage, search your deck for a card that evolves from. Yep, so that's definitely nice. It's always decent when they have something like this in them. And then Team Rocket's Tyranitar, Sandstream. As long as it's in the active, put 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's basic Pokemon during checkup. So, yeah, I don't know why they limited this to basic only, but I mean, I guess it's nice, right? And the fact that you could end up getting it on multiple, and more than likely they are going to be basic regardless. So most of the time this ability works for you, so it's still okay in that way. 180 damage, discard energy from your opponent's active. This is definitely interesting, but just speaking to the past, I really don't think these types of cards or attacks are ever really all that strong. I mean, the damage is definitely it's okay or good, for what it is, especially because you have the opportunity for double colorless. And I imagine you would run maybe something like this inside of the Annihilate deck, or just not run it at all. I think either is probably good. But yeah, it's just a lot of build up for a very okay attack. It's obviously a nice effect, right? But with it having 180 HP, realistically, it's not really going to live for all that long for what it is. So I still think the Annihilate is probably the best non-EX they've printed still so far. And then now we have the Team Rocket's Moltres, Flame Screen, 110 damage during your opponent's. Oh, you know what? I probably already talked about this, didn't I? Yeah, I did. So this article is just for showing the full art. I do like the new full arts with the trainers in the background. I feel like that makes these cards way better. Obviously, I'm not sure which Team Rocket person this is with the Moltres, but it's still pretty cool regardless. And then finally here we have the last 2 articles. So we have Rocket's Drowsy, 10 damage, your opponent is now asleep. And this Hypno is definitely very cool. I do really like this, especially because this last bit here. You'll see it has the same attack, Side Punch, Bench Manipulation. They pretty much did the same for both. They just, renamed this one. And they almost even updated the attack. It's pretty much the same word for word as well. Opponent flips a coin for each of their bench, for each tails. Yeah, I mean, this is honestly a very strong attack, too. I really like that they're giving Hypno a pretty decent card here. The art on him is kind of bad. Yeah, it's kind of bad on Drowsy, too. I don't really care for the art that much. Honestly, I like the original. Probably had more interesting or cooler art in that way. But I do think it's cool they're looking back at some of the older cards, too, and sort of like, giving them an upgraded version of the attack. I do think that's pretty cool of them. Now, lastly, we have Rocket's Blip Bug. Look at one of your opponent's face-down prize cards. Very niche attack, but at least it does one thing good. Most of these basics are usually pretty lackluster, so it's an okay attack. Team Rocket's Dottler. Look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck. Put them back in any order. This is a pretty funny attack. I do like that. Then Super Slibolt for 30. That's obviously really bad, but the main first attack is pretty funny, and I feel like you actually could maybe get some decent setup out of being able to switch into a Dottler and do something like that. But this card does end up failing pretty quickly to just any card that your opponent uses that would shuffle their deck, and there's a whole lot of those in the TCG. So this card is going to end up being probably fully unplayed. I don't think it's going to do anything. I say that without having read this Orbeetle, but we'll see. Rocket Brain is often you may move one from your Rocket to another of your Pokemon. It's okay. Psychic 40 plus for yeah. So it's yeah, I wasn't wrong. It's probably one of the worst card lines that they've had. It's a funny comment from this guy. But yeah, no, I don't really see this card line doing very good. You know, it's probably not that good of a Pokemon in the real game too. Let's just be honest. So it's not all that surprising. But the illustration is definitely pretty cool for this. I like it more so for the Team Rocket grunt rather than the actual Pokemon. But yeah, it's all pretty good. I do like all these so far. You'll see I even just barely scrolled down and there's already some negative sentiment. It's sort of what I talked about at the beginning of the video. It seems like there's a lot of negativity and emotions surrounding a lot of the hobby right now. So my suggestion to all of you is just find the stuff you like in it or just tap out of it for a little while. You know, it's definitely healthy to take a break from a lot of these things every now and then. But yeah, that was me catching up on the new Team Rocket cards. I'll put a link to all of these in the description below for you all. So, yeah, thanks, guys.